Microphone check 1, 2. If you can hear me, give me a 1 in the chat, please, and thank you. Yes, thank you so much. Woo! Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday. Give me a second. You know, I need my background music now. All right. Woo! Peace, world, peace. Welcome. Back to Goddess Dawn Speaks, aka the $1 trillion goddess baby, aka the queen of info. Let me hear the kids. Nothing like happy children. So today, we're back live, and on this Sunday, we're going to talk about Denzel, who looks like he just got baptized and he's being ordained as well as a minister. He's in training. So we're going to go down a little bit of a rabbit hole with regard to Denzel. And we're going to start with the baptism. I want to appreciate and say thank you to everyone, especially if you're in the chat this morning or today. Good afternoon. Wow, Wayne. Yes. Faye Crossling. Yes. Bolani, welcome. Or welcome back. And I saw Season Sagittarius had popped in here. Thank you for that. And Baby Yoda. Yes. Okay. So I guess, we'll just start with the baptism and go from there. I kind of threw this together because I woke up to this story about Denzel. And I was like, well, what is going on, Denzel? Because I was already asking some questions. Let's see if it's still up. Oh, yeah. Hold on. About why are we hearing all these things about him all of a sudden? It seems like it's all of a sudden. And now we have him being baptized. Now, of course, you saw that if you were in when I first hit the live button, that I was showing some pictures of Diddy. And that's because there is a link. Sorry if you don't want to hear about Diddy today, but we're going to go into some things. So first and foremost, here we are. This is coming from Spiritual World on Instagram. Won't he do it? Actor Denzel Washington was baptized yesterday in New York City at the historic Kelly Temple Church of God in Christ and becomes licensed minister in training. Yeah. They said this was on December. Well, what is today, actually? So this was yesterday, December 21st. It says, this event marked a significant step in his spiritual journey as he also received his ministry license during this ceremony. His father was a Pentecostal minister And growing up in a Christian household, this baptism reflects a personal commitment to his faith that has been a part of his life, both on and off the screen. And he said in quotes, "It took a while, but I'm finally here. If God can do this for me, there's nothing he can do for you. The sky is literally the limit." Hence the instrumental I chose for the day. But yeah, all that is true in my eyes, at least. And let's see what happened here.
In accordance with the great head of the church, we baptize you, my brother, in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit.
I know I got religion. I know I got religion. I know I got religion. Be baptized. Take me to the wall.
You are the head of our house.
Amen.
And you have set a great example for our children who are now adult children and who know the difference, because we have shown them the difference. And this step has taken a step. Walk the waters, you've been dipped in the water. Praise God.
Actually, 50 years ago, I turned 70 next week. I was 20 when I sat in my mother's beauty parlor, and Miss Ruth Green was known to have the gift of prophecy. Some of you may have heard this story. And she prophesied. She said, "Boy, you are going to travel the world and preach to millions of people." Years later, look at
Look at God.
So if he can do this for me,
You are the head of our
there's nothing he can't do for you. The sky literally is the limit, and there's no limit to the sky. Anything and everything I can do, I will do for this church, for the Almighty. I just want to be in that number when the saints go marching in.
And the saints come marching in, he said. And here's his certificate and his minister's license. He's still in training, they say. But, you know, this is a beautiful thing. Regardless of what got him to this point, regardless of anything that happened in his past, you know, Denzel has recently been coming forward with some things that I don't know that we necessarily needed to know or wanted to know about him, to be honest. Let's see what else they have here. As far as, you know, past drug use, alcohol consumption, maybe even alcoholism, kissing a man, you know, I mean, he just like has come out and said some things. Christopher Bryant had posted this. "We celebrate the addition of Mr. Denzel Washington into the clergy, having received his minister's license in the Church of God in Christ yesterday in a truly uplifting moment. He is dressed that way because in the same service he received water baptism. Both the baptism and the licensing took place at the historic Kelly Temple in New York City, a place close to his heart. Denzel Washington attended this church as a child and testified to being filled with the Holy Spirit after visiting another church with actor Robert Townsend in the 80s. He said, Washington said, "It took a while." Oh, we just heard this, but he said, "It took a while, but I'm finally here. If God can do this for me, there's nothing he can't do for you. The sky is literally the limit." That gives me chills every time I, read that. I've read it a couple times this morning, getting ready to do this, because it's so true. Let me see. There's some comments I want to read. "Y'all mad he chose God and not himself. God is real, and y'all better recognize it." God is real. God is good all the time. And all the time, God is good. Somebody said, "From the preacher's wife to the preacher in real life." Somebody said, "One of the greatest gifts ever given to a Black man is a Black woman submitted to the vision of God placed in him." Absolutely, we cannot dismiss the fact that his wife Pauletta, who has been by his side, I think most, if not all, of his career, which has spanned decades now, gave a beautiful speech as well. And seemingly she's already there, because I would think she would be doing this with him, if not. Somebody said, I really hope they give us a documentary on Unc's life. He always speaks highly of God, never got caught up in sex scandals. Well, not yet. And schemes. And he seemed to have stayed faithful to his wife. Well, I don't know about that either. But all while being one of the biggest movie stars in Hollywood for decades, these young men need the recipe. The Wayans can even direct it. Just give us a doc. I guess a lot of people don't, they're not tapped into things where they're hearing the rumors or even seeing things and hearing things that the mainstream media doesn't pick up. But I am one of those people who are tapped in. And there are things that I have heard. I actually know people who are, to this day, very close to Denzel. So I've heard things, I know things factually, and I've heard rumors too. I mean, but I just want to say, we can't make a person a perfect person. This person tried to paint a picture as if he's never done anything or never been caught doing anything. But personally, I feel like he might be trying to get ahead of something. I'm not trying to muddy these waters, these holy waters at all. Not trying to downplay or make light of what he's doing here to say, he's not doing it genuinely, because that's not the case either. Hopefully it is all sincere. I think it is, honestly. I believe it is, but sometimes we get scared into doing things, right? And the reason I'm saying this is just, like I said, there's been some things that are like, I don't know, Denzel. And I'm going to just take it to TikTok real quick and just share a couple things before we get into an article. He actually did a very in-depth article with Esquire Magazine, and it looks like he's just trying to be transparent and let us know, I was never a perfect man. The man you've seen in these movies, these roles that I played, they are not me. Okay. But let's start with, I think I'll start here. Wait, hold on.
Allegedly.
Let me start this over.
Y'all, why is Denzel Washington's name floating around this mess now? Allegedly, Denzel Washington gets down with the get down. His name is definitely floating around. Allegedly. It's about to go down. Y'all,
okay.
Why is Denzel Washington?
Queen Keisha.
I actually kissed
Allie Carter.
I never thought that we would see.
We'll do this.
I never thought that we would see the day where Diddy would get arrested. And I told you guys in that Maria Z interview in 2021 that no one tells on Diddy. P. Diddy. All right? Nobody tells on Denzel Washington. We tried to back up. We've tried to tell you everything that we can, and now we have people messaging us, investigators, people that want to talk now, when now it's because it's trending. We're still not on the subject of the kids. All the adults are covering their asses. All the adults are, I left at a certain time, yet you knew children were there. You knew these parties were not okay. They weren't freak-offs. They were satanic ritual orgies.
Satanic ritual orgies. We're learning a lot of things about the industry, not just the music industry, the entertainment industry. And one of the things that I've learned, well, I've been told this by people in the industry, record label owners, years ago, but I couldn't wrap my mind around it. It was just too out there, some of the things I was hearing. Some of these levels that you have to get to or go to in order to reach certain heights of fame and success. And people like Denzel, who, like I said, his career has spanned decades. He's pretty much stayed in a positive light as far as the mainstream goes. And, he's the highest of the high as far as the hierarchy goes when it comes to Black excellence, if you want to say that, entertainment. So Denzel, but he's turning 70, he said, next week. And he's trying to change his life around. But we got to go down this little rabbit hole because I'm trying to understand, Denzel, what's happening here? What's happening? You putting this out here for us to consume. So it's not, I would say, what's the word I want? I don't think it's a stretch or a reach for us to say there's more to it, right? So let's see what I have something here I want to share.
More people wasn't talking about it.
Media attention in 2020, she and her family lost their home and struggled to rebuild their lives. Back then, she also attempted to pursue legal action against Riverside County Child Protective Services, alleging their involvement in what happened to her, but claimed her evidence was ignored. Well, after Diddy's case blew up, Allie was back on our timelines telling us the same thing she said 3 years ago when nobody believed her. In recent interviews and statements, Allie Carter has once again been accusing Diddy of being involved in exploitative activities, claiming that these incidents took place during elite parties involving powerful figures from the entertainment industry like Denzel Washington. And when it comes to Allie, her main concern is actually how the plight of children often gets overlooked. And what she is saying even now is that we are not focusing on the children enough.
Still not on the subject of the kids. All the adults are covering their asses. All the adults are, I left at a certain time, yet you knew children were there. You knew these parties were not okay. They weren't freak-offs. They were satanic rituals.
There's also an affidavit that has been making rounds online where Allie describes an after party from one of Diddy's parties, and she says that some of the celebrities present were Brian Christopher Williams, aka Birdman, aka Baby, Denzel Hayes Washington, Sean Love Combs, aka Puff Daddy, aka P. Diddy, aka Diddy, and JCL Amon Robinson, aka Young Jock. Allegedly at this party there were body cakes, which means
I feel like every video I watch, I have to say this. It's a lot of things that are being said that I can't have repeated. So when you see little clips, little jumps, just know that's what it is. The original video will be in the description. But basically about stuff being eaten off of people.
Honey, when I tell you that Allie had one of the worst experiences, I mean exactly that. She was talking about how one of the top comedians who was at the party was complaining that he did an hour-long set, but there was no one to hook up with backstage. OMG. I really can't, y'all. Everything that Allie was talking about seems so even worse when I imagine that there were people there, including celebrities, including Denzel Washington, watching what was happening. I mean, how sick can people actually be? Girl, I don't know for sure if Denzel was actually present during that particular party, but one thing I can tell you is that Denzel has been to Diddy's parties. For starters, there have been reports saying that one time during a Diddy party, Denzel screamed at Diddy saying, "You don't respect anyone." Before leaving the party, he had attended with his wife in 2003. Apparently, he and Pauletta had been partying until dawn, and they had seen something and stormed out. Well, the incident that night didn't appear to affect their friendship, as Diddy and Denzel have been seen together through the years at various public events, including basketball games.
So, basically just saying he's been there. And yeah, Queen, I think it's kind of obvious he's older than Diddy. He's going on 70 years old. So we know he's older than Diddy, just turned 55. So that doesn't mean much when it comes to who is the gatekeeper, who is, we don't know. Denzel might have been the gatekeeper. He might have been one of what they call the council who, is over this whole thing. We don't know any of it to be true. Let me keep saying that. It's all alleged. But, then we have,
seeing a kiss that was omitted from the movie. Why do you think they did that?
It wasn't even a big deal, really. I mean, that's about what it was.
Ridley said he never saw the kiss. He said it didn't happen.
It's much ado about nothing. Right. It really is much ado about nothing. They're making more of it than it was. I kissed him on his hands. I gave him a peck, and I killed him.
I have to tell you, us gay boys want to see Denzel kissing another man.
Well, I don't have the part yet. You gonna write it?
Headline about a certain scene, a kiss that was omitted from the.
This is how he said it. Like,
Kissed the man in the film, but they took it. They cut out. I think they got chicken.
So for whatever reason, Denzel has decided recently to, start divulging things from his life. And it could be his age. It could be a lot of things. But it's not something we can ignore, that all of these things are coming out about these industry celebrities, higher ups. These things are pretty, what's the word? Scandalous, I guess you could say. Extremely scandalous. Some of it criminal. And I think, we've had people that we know have moved out of the country. They don't want to have nothing to do with what's happening now, the crumbling of Babylon, honey. But there is an article, Denzel, this is from, when did he do this article? November 19th, this article was published. And this is where some of the information we were hearing about him, about the drugs and the alcohol, came from. This is where he actually disclosed some of that information. It's a pretty in-depth article. And I'm going to go ahead and read it, child. I have some time. So, yeah, exactly, Faye. Birds of a feather, honey. Queen said, Will Smith quickly said he didn't even go near a Diddy party. Yet his son, Jaden, has been spotted. He's even pictured at these parties. So you're going to tell me his son attended these parties and his dad didn't open the door? Faye said, down the rabbit hole we go. This gets crazier by the day. Looks like 2026 is going to be even crazier, or 25 maybe. But yeah, I agree. Queen said, I really don't follow actors. They are same as artists and athletes all party together. Yeah. So yeah, let's get into the book of Denzel. Okay. And it says he has lived a big life, tough streets, close calls, a wife of 41 years, 4 kids, 50 movies, 2 Oscars, 3 equalizers. For the first time on the occasion of Gladiator 2 and his approaching 70th birthday, the man himself breaks it all down in his own words to the moments that mattered and the experiences that made him. So they're doing this in acts, like a movie or a play. I believe there's 5, but this is Act 1. So this is from Denzel himself. I was with my friend Frank the night his brother murdered a guy. It was Mount Vernon, New York, where I grew up. We were maybe 11, 12. My parents were getting divorced, and me and Frank were out late, just walking around. And we'd stay wherever we. He said, I'm changing names. This was a long time ago. We ran into his brother, Robert. Now, everybody knew Robert was a guy who, bless him, everybody said was crazy after he came back from Vietnam. They said he's crazy and he's a killer and be careful. I think he was Green Beret, those guys that would cut throats behind enemy lines. But he didn't bother me none. We'd smoke weed together and I'd say, D, everybody's scared of me, man. But you're not scared of me. And I said, well, man, you're just Frank's big brother. I met Frank because when I was 11, I started working in a barber shop up on 4th Avenue. To get there, you had to cut, or I would cut through the projects where the basketball courts were. So I started meeting a whole new group of friends in there. Everybody was gone for Frank and Robert. Mother, father, nobody around for them. Frank lived with our mother's friend. Frank lived with our other friend, Mitch. Miss Mitchell took him in. We had a little band, the 4 of us. Mitch was our lead guitar player. Frank played bass. Our friend Jake played the drums, and I played keyboards. My mother owned her own business, a beauty salon. So we had a little bit more money, and she could buy me an organ, a farfisa. We used to rehearse over Jake's mother's house, maybe 10 minutes away from my house, down by Memorial Field, because they had an attic 4 floors up where nobody could hear us. None of us read music. We just sit up there and listen to, just try to peck out your little part of whatever James Brown song we were trying to play. Get your little solo. I wasn't as good with the solos because I didn't know how to play, but Frank could play good solos. And Jake, man, he could go for 20 minutes. We entered a talent show in those same projects one time, and we plugged all our equipment into the outdoor lights. The lights shut off at midnight, so we were the last act, but we won. I was performing back in middle school, too, or trying to. Me and my friend Wayne Bridges, he's Ludacris's dad, who I met at the Boys Club. We did a Beatles song in the talent show back then. We were older guys in the neighborhood who there were older guys in the neighborhood who we wanted to be like. One guy in particular named Donald Fletcher. And me and Wayne would practice his walk. Elements of that walk are still with me today in the movies. I used to practice moving my shoulders while I walked, trying to look like him because he was so cool. He was cool. I wanted to be cool. You didn't know why exactly at the time. All you knew was that you're 6 and he's 10 and you wanted to be like him when you grow up. So anyway, me and Frank coming down the street and we see Robert with this guy, Joe. And he tells Joe to go down to the grocery store and get him some Coke 45 malt liquor. Gives him some money. And as Joe takes off down the street, Robert says real quiet to me and Frank, "I'm going to kill him tonight." Just then, Joe turned around from down the street and hollered, "Could he get 2 bottles?" Robert shouted back at him all nice. "What? Yeah, get a bottle for yourself too. And bring me back my change." Then he turned back to us and said, "See, he don't know how that I know he stole my motorcycle." Oh, wait. See, he don't know that I know he stole my motorcycle. Joe did steal it and either sold it or crashed it and burned it up or something like that. And I just want him to have a good time on his last night living. And Robert walked off down the street real slow, in and out of the street lights. I looked at Frank and he looked at me, eyes real wide. And I whispered to him, man, he wasn't joking. They were both dope fiends, Robert and Joe. And you just don't know. We ran to my house to get out of there. And then we ran back over there early in the next morning and in a hurry to find out what happened. Well, when Joe got back with the Colt 45, Robert had stabbed him in the back of the neck. Then he closed the knife up and sat in the middle of the street in lotus position, waiting for the police. Forget my story, you know. I'm some actor, but Frank, his story, man, it was my story that night, but it was the story of his life. That was his life. His brother, Robert, killed Joe. And his other brother was doing time in Leavenworth, no place you want to be. I forget what the other brother did, because sometimes all those boys and all those crimes run together like water, and you can't remember one from the other. Or maybe I don't want to. But when you think back to the big moments in your life, what are they? Was it making a movie? Or was it watching Robert walk down the dark street, wondering what's going on in his head? Those characters I played in Training Day, in American Gangster, it might look like they were close to me. And I could tell you they were, but I wasn't no gangster. I ran with them real gangsters down there, but I was not them. So let me not tell them I had one foot in the streets, but I ain't no killer. I can't think of a single role where I would say, man, that's me. Entirely me? No. First of all, there are lines that you read and you learn, and that's how that person talks. Sure, there has to be pieces of what you've done and who you are, and hopefully there's pieces of who you are and what you've done. My mother used to say, boy, you got to smile more, because if you don't, people are going to think you're angry. So I had something, but I've never said King Kong ain't got shit on me in my life. But Alonzo, that character in Training Day, was bigger than King Kong. It was something I said in the spur of the moment, but that's how I felt. He was losing because the whole neighborhood was turning its back on him. So he had to be even bigger than he was. He's got to be the King Kong now. So I just said it. I created that character out of lines someone else wrote. I changed pretty much everything. In the original script, it was more of a straight ahead cop, but we got into a whole gangster side of it and met some gangster cops. We did the research. I was in Mount Vernon not long ago and I ran into Frank. No kidding. Somebody yelled over to me, "Yo, D, you know Frank lives right here. Look, I got a picture of the two of us. We're the same age, but it doesn't look like it. Look at that broken body of his." So who am I compared to that guy? I mean, prison was the only safe place for him. Look at his hands, how they look gnarled. I showed his picture to another guy who did time, and he said, "D, that's what 40 years of prison food will do to you." Because that's what Frank did. Probably 40 years. Got into armed robbery, all kinds of stuff. Take care of Frank. He knows when he sees me, I hit him off. He didn't have a chance, man. Ooh, child. And this is just his beginnings. Hey, Sharita. It's okay, Faye. I knew what you meant. I've heard about Denzel's that he told Diddy off and left one of his parties. I don't believe everyone who attended them is a bad person. That was into them extracurricular activities. Yeah, well, you might have missed the part where I said I actually know people who were to this day right now working with him. And I know some things that have happened. These people are, well, in particular, one of the people, somebody I actually have known for decades and I trust. So just know that there's a mainstream surface level of a celebrity, and then there's the dark side. And, you know, a lot of times these celebrities go through these doors to get to certain levels of their fame and success. And a lot of that requires certain sacrifices, to go through certain rituals, sex rituals, all kinds of rituals, some of them including children. I'm just telling you, these things are not just rumors. So, you know, you can still believe what you want. Okay. Of course, have your opinions. I can't tell some of the stuff. I can't tell. I have to, you know, maintain my loyalty to things, you know, to the people. But the things that I played earlier in this live, I don't know if you just came in here, really just off TikTok. I would just say I corroborate with the things I've heard. Okay, so let me, we're going to go into Act 2 of this story. And this is Denzel in the Esquire interview that he did about a month ago. And this is a part of his being transparent. I'm going to say coming out party, because he's telling us a lot of things that we've never heard of. And Denzel has been, you know, he's one of the industry people who are on a pedestal because we've seen nothing but excellent work from this guy. We admire him. You know, he has a long-time marriage with Pauletta, his beautiful wife. They have been people who, you know, people aspire to be like this, you know, to have a long-term love, to have a beautiful family, success in your career, being able to have a platform where the whole world is watching, right? So let's get into Act 2. This is him speaking his truth. And this is not something we could take away from this man, right? This is his story. All right. Act 2. Prep school in the 70s. Acid. Lot of acid. I said, oh my God. Yeah. Ha! I was in a little private semi-military school called Oakland Academy in New Windsor, New York, up by Poughkeepsie. I think that's how you say it. My mother sent me up there because I had tested well in school, but I had one foot in the streets. I can't remember if I was already selling drugs at that point. Yeah, well, sometimes you do what you're around. I was doing everything Frank and Mitch were doing, throwing rocks at the penitentiary, as they call it. I was throwing rocks at the penitentiary. Why can't I? Penitentiary at 13. I stopped going to school much. So they sat down with my mother and said, look, you need to get him out. Said I showed potential. There were rich white kids at Oakland, but it was all kinds. There was one famous mafia kid up there. I don't know which family. One of the Colombos. I think it was Colombo. I did all 4 years up there. I was introduced to people from all these other places I'd never been. Fairfield County, all over. I learned about other people's lives and backgrounds and acid. Blotters, Orange Owsley. We did it on Fridays because we had to be back in class Monday. My first trip, the trees are moving. I'm scared to leave. I was by myself, and everyone else was waiting for me back at the little lodges we lived in. This is probably why I'm screwed up now. Yeah, doing acid at a young age, because they say, you know, those drugs, those type of drugs, they mess with your mind bad. But he said, I don't think I got back until 4 a.m, and I'm sneaking around, knocking on everyone's doors, telling them, man, there was a snake, and the spiders were trying to come through, and they all started laughing. They said, D, you're tripping. I said, I know. It was pretty tame, though. It was psychedelic, but it was tame. There was a little weed around, and the acid when someone could get it. I wasn't big on alcohol, partly because you had to sneak out and go get somebody to get it for you in Newburgh on the weekends. Newburgh was 2 miles away, a big town, and it was tough, a depressed place. There was one big, wide street, and you had to stand outside while someone got the beer. Not my thing until later. Act 3. The biggest moment of my life was when I was filled with the Holy Spirit. It happened in West Los Angeles Church of God in Christ, Crenshaw Boulevard, Los Angeles. Shout out to that church. I pass it every day. Let me tell you first that my father was a man of God and a very gentle man. Big dude. He worked 3 jobs. He was up at 4 a.m, so when I went to school, he was already gone. He came home at something in the afternoon, and he had a second job. Then he was a night watchman at S. Klein's department store up in Yonkers, where he probably slept. We didn't have teaching conversations. He taught me only by example. Plus, most of the time, I'm out of the house. I was at Nathan Hale Elementary in Mount Vernon when they started building the boys' club in 1959. I watched the construction every day, wondered what was going on. Then I find out a club for boys. I think you had to wait till you were 6 to join. And as soon as I turned 6, I was just in there. Arts and crafts upstairs. Learn how to make something out of popsicle sticks. Or you just learn how to play pool and ping pong. Or you play baseball and basketball and football. That was me. We know eating. Don't get me started with how soft and easy people got it now. At 6, 7, 8 years old, you're trying to get out in the yard. And Dad just worked. That's what we knew. He worked. His father, my grandfather, was a farmer. Here's a fact. We're descendants of George Washington. We're ex-slaves. My sister did the whole genealogical history of our family. She is truly a genius. She's good, and she spent forever figuring it all out. We still own land down there, not far from D.C. Come on, our last name's Washington. Do the math. Wow. My father, though, he was a gentleman, handsome guy, and charismatic, but not educated, no sir. When it was time to read something, he fiddled. I remember once when my mother wanted to show him something, he pretended to try to find his glasses and then said, oh, never mind. And she said, here, just give it to me. I didn't understand it then, but when I look back, I think he was trying to stall. See, I know he didn't graduate from high school. They were farming. He was born in 1909, and I don't think he was going to kindergarten until in 1914 in Dillwyn, Virginia, town of 500 people. I'd call Gil Turner's wine store on Sunset and say, send me 2 bottles of wine, the best. My wife kept saying, why do you keep ordering just 2? I said, if I order more, I'll drink more. After they divorced, I guess they snapshotted that from later in the article. So he goes on, though. After they divorced, my mother was a woman in a man's world trying to make money. She and her business partner owned the beauty shop. That was the big deal then. They then opened an ice cream shop so that we kids could work there to keep us off the street in the summer. I got so sick of ice cream. Oh, just the smell of it. But I really grew up in the boys' club. As I got older, I started carrying my little switchblade, walking down the club by myself, all swagger. I had a mentor there, Billy Thomas. He's still in my life. He slapped me in the face one time. And I'll tell you what, that was a lesson. Billy's not tall, but I was so little. He was on one knee and I was standing, and he's telling me something important. And I wasn't listening. I'm looking around like, okay, yeah, okay. But I want to get back out and play with the other kids. And then pow, pay attention. I never forgot it. And I wasn't about to tell anybody because shoot, I knew that what my mother was going to say. Well, why'd he hit you? What'd you do? But if I grew up in the boys' club, I also grew up in the church, always in church. And I would see the altar calls as a child, which to a little boy just looks like people come up and then they take them into a prayer room. I knew what that was, people being saved, but I didn't really know. So now I'm an adult, 1983, 84, and Robert Townsend and I used to run pretty good together back in those days. You know him. Great actor, great director. Directed Hollywood Shuffle. Directed Eddie Murphy Raw. Right now, he's on The Bear playing Sydney's father. He's so good. And we had done the movie A Soldier Story. Oh, that was a good movie. Robert turned me on to West Angeles Church. And you have the prayers and everything at the end. And you get up and stand, and then they have that call to the altar. If anyone wants to come and be saved or whatever, come on up. And you go up. Now, I never gone up in my life, but this particular day, I said, I'm going up there. I went up. They said what they say. They took me to the back room somewhere. They prayed for me. Me, I'm thinking, I'm just going to give up to God today. I'm just going to give it up to God today, whatever that means. And I got back there and they were praying and telling it to us. I'm hallelujahing. I was just feeling. It felt like I was getting lifted up. It felt like my back was arched and I had my eyes closed. Not that I was going up in the air, but I can't exactly describe it. And I was blabbering. I kept blabbering because I was filled with the Holy Spirit. And I could hear the people gathering around me. They had seen this before. I could feel them ministering to me, touching me, talking to me, protecting me. And then, this is going to sound like I was doing acid again. I came down. I was slobbering. I was crying. I felt embarrassed because I didn't know exactly what had happened. I hadn't experienced it before or even seen it. Growing up, I'd seen members of the church jumping and running and up and down the aisles and all of that. But it scared me. It was too powerful. It was too much. It was too much. It was too much. It was unbelievable. It was exhausting. And then the strange thing is, after this thing happens to you, you're all shaken. Okay, now what? What do you do with that? You go back to the back of the church and they give you some literature and your wife's waiting for you outside, get in the car, you go have brunch. Things I said about God when I was a little boy, just reciting them in church along with everybody else, I know now. God is real. God is love. God is the only way. God is the true way. God blesses. Whew. I'm ringing the bell on that. God is real. God is love. God is the only way, the true way. God blesses. It is my job to lift God up, to give him praise, to make sure that anyone and everyone I speak to the rest of my life understands that he is responsible for me. When you see me, you see the best I could do with what I've been given by my Lord and Savior. I'm unafraid. I don't care what anyone thinks. See, talking about the fear part of it, you can't talk like that and win Oscars. You can't talk like that and party. You can't say that in this town. He says, I'm free now. It's not talked about in this town. It's not talked about. It's not talked about. It's not fashionable. It's not sexy. But that doesn't mean people in Hollywood don't believe. There's no such thing called Hollywood anyway. What does that even mean? That to me means a street called Hollywood Boulevard. It's not like we all meet somewhere and discuss what we believe. So I don't know how many other actors have faith. I didn't do no poll. How would I find that out? I mean, there's no church actors meeting I've been to. I don't have a lot of actor friends. Family friends, sure, like Sam Jackson. His wife and Pauletta go way back. And he and I go all the way back to a soldier's play in 1981. But now, when I make a movie, I'm not trying to make friends. We wrap. I'm trying to go home. That's not to say that if I see, I don't know, Tom Hanks, it's not great. It is. I love Tom Hanks. I just don't see him. And it's interesting he brings up Tom Hanks because Tom Hanks and his wife, from what I understand, at least a year or more, moved to Australia. And it just seems like he might be trying to distance himself. I'm just saying. I might be putting too much into it, but let me continue. I didn't see him much before Philadelphia either. We were in the same business, but not necessarily the same town at any moment, just the way it goes. But my faith has always informed the roles I choose. Always. I've always been led by God, and most of my performances are faith-filled. Even if I was playing the devil, I still have my shooting script from training day, and I wrote on the cover, "The wages of sin is death." The wages of sin is death. And now, all these years later in Gladiator 2, I play another bad guy in another great movie. Even in the darkest stories, I'm looking for the light. Child, he is giving it up today in this article. Before I get into Act 4, let me see. Sharita says, hey, beautiful spirit. Did I see you pop in? Peace and love to you, Queen. He admitted himself kissing a man, but it was an acting scene. Yeah, I already talked about that. He can be redeemed, live his last days, living for God and leaving the industry. Yeah, because he did say he's retiring. And I agree with that. Sharita said, I don't know if it's this article, but one I saw, he was talking about Kevin Spacey, allegations and the suspicions that persisted for years. Denzel Washington pulling a mace. All right, getting some ministry. That would be a beautiful way for him to end his career, though, right? To be a minister after everything he's experienced. This man has seen it all. He's seen it all. He's been around the world, done it all. You know, he's still maintained this whole time his marriage and has a beautiful family who are seemingly all in the business. I think he brings them up in this article. So I'm going to continue reading. We're in Act 4. Listen, you're at an award show with a free tuxedo. You went there in a limousine and they didn't call your name. Aw. This was 2000, 20-something years into me being an actor. I had worked at a camp in Lakeville, Connecticut, through the Boys Club, and we did some theater, and I liked that. When I somehow got into Fordham, I got in, I flunked out. Got in again. That's when it really started. And then I got the play, A Soldier's Play, which became the movie A Soldier's Story. Then St. Elsewhere, and all that, and on and on. And Glory, 1989. These are all classics, by the way. Even the TV show St. Elsewhere. And then here I am again at the Oscars. Is that his eye? His real eye? Ooh. I think I had won the Golden Globes for Hurricane. See, I barely remember now. Ain't that crazy? But then at the Oscars, they called Kevin Spacey's name. Oh, here we go, Sharita. For American Beauty. I have a memory of turning around and looking at him, and nobody was standing but the people around him. And everyone was looking at me. Not that it was this way. Maybe that was the way I perceived it. Maybe I felt like everybody was looking at me, because why would everybody be looking at me? Thinking about it now, I don't think they were. I'm sure I went home and drank that night. I had to. I don't want to sound like, oh, he won my Oscar or anything like that. It wasn't like that, but, and there was talk in the town about what was going on over there on that side of the street, and that's between him and God. I ain't got nothing to do with that. I pray for him. That's between him and his maker. Yeah, if you don't know, Kevin Spacey was up on some allegations with regard to a minor boy, or maybe more than one. I'm not sure. I don't think he was convicted of anything, however. But the Me Too movement has taken down quite a few characters, and I believe they are still behind the scenes of all of these things. I think Corinne Steffens, or I can't remember her actual name that she goes by now, but the author of Confessions of a Video Vixen 1 and 2, outing a lot of celebrities and a lot of DL activity and things like that. She said that the Me Too movement is actually behind still a lot of these takedowns of these celebrities. Okay, so let's continue. He says, I went through a time when Pauletta would watch all of the Oscar movies. I told her, I don't care about that. Hey, they don't care about me. I don't care. You vote, you watch them. I ain't watching that. I gave up. I got bitter. My pity party. So I tell you, for about 15 years, from 1999 to 2014, when I put the beverage down, I was bitter. I don't even know offhand what movies I made then. I guess John Q, Manchurian Candidate, but I didn't know I was bitter. Wine is very tricky. It's very slow. It ain't like boom, all of a sudden. And part of it was we built this big house in 1999 with a 10,000 bottle wine cellar. And I learned to drink the best. So I'm going to drink my 61s and my 82s and whatever we had. Wine was my thing. And now I was popping $4,000 bottles just because that's what was left. And then later in those years, I called Gil Turner's Fine Wines and Spirits on Sunset Boulevard and say, send me 2 bottles, the best of this or that. And my wife saying, why do you keep ordering just 2? I said, because if I order more, I'll drink more. So I kept it to 2 bottles, and I would drink them both over the course of the day. I'm going to skip those snapshots there. He says, I'm sure at first it was easy because I was younger. 2 months off and let go. But drinking was a 15-year pattern. And truth be told, it didn't start in 99. It started earlier. In fact, it probably had more to do with Frank and those guys. It probably started when, well, to be honest, that is where it started. I never got strung out on heroin, never got strung out on coke, never got strung out on hard drugs. I shot dope just like they shot dope, but I never got strung out. And I never got strung out on liquor. I had this ideal idea of wine tastings and all that, which is what it was at first. And that's a very subtle thing. I mean, I drank the best. I drank the best. And 15 years into it, send me 2 bottles and make good stuff, but just 2. And I drink them both over the course of the day. I wasn't drinking when we filmed Flight. I know that, but I'm sure I did as soon as I finished. That was getting toward the end of the drinking. But I knew a lot about waking up and looking around, not knowing what happened. But look, I was put on this planet to do good. I've been blessed with this ability to act. And I've tried to use it for goodness sake, for godness' sake. Even the darkest side, the darkest guys. I know during Flight, I was thinking about those who had been through addiction. And I wanted good to come out of that. It wasn't like it was therapeutic. Actually, maybe it was therapeutic. It had to have been. But look, I've had so many journeys, so many different kinds of people to play. And even the heroes, I'm not them. I'm not Stephen Biko or Biko. I played Stephen Biko. I'm not Malcolm X. People talk to me like I'm Malcolm X to this day. I'm not Malcolm X. I could not stand up to the pressure that he was under, but I've been blessed with the ability to interpret what that does, be it a leader of the Nation of Islam or falling down alcoholic. I've done a lot of damage to the body. We'll see. I've been clean. Be 10 years this December. Good for him. I stopped at 60, and I haven't had a thimble's worth since. I wonder if it had to do with some health thing that might have been coming up. He said he's talking about he's done a lot of damage to the body, but he doesn't know, because time is going to tell when it comes to your body. Things are opening up for me now, like being 70. It's real, and it's okay. This is the last chapter. If I get another 30, what do I want to do? My mother made it to 97. Wow. I'm doing the best I can. And not only alcohol, forget all that, strength. About 2 years ago, my good friend, my little brother, Lenny Kravitz, said, D, I want to hook you up with a trainer. And he did. And he's another man of God. I started with him February of last year. He makes the meals for me, and we're training, and I'm now 190 something pounds on my way to 185. I was looking at pictures of myself and Pauletta at the Academy Awards for Macbeth, and I'm still looking fat with this dyed hair. And I said, those days are over, man. I feel like I'm getting strong. Strong is important. Yeah. Let me see if y'all are saying anything. Yeah, good for him. I feel the same way. I'm feeling a little overwhelmed right now. I feel like I want to cry. I don't know why. So weird. But I am an empath. So this is real. This is real because I'm feeling it. Hey, beautiful spirit. You cooking? I wish I could come eat. Hey, Juti. Yes. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday. So we're talking about Denzel Washington. If you just getting in here, when we're done here, go back into the replay and catch some of the things. You know, I did link this to Diddy, just because there's been some rumors and things about how possibly Denzel was involved in some things or whatever. He might have seen some things or been at some places, but wondering, you know, why he's coming out and being so forthcoming and transparent all of a sudden. But you know what? The man will be 70 years old. And a lot of times in old age comes truth. You know how they say your grandmother, great grandmother, whoever is your aunties, they be straight out and blunt with everything. And they don't really care about being pretentious or what people think. And that's what age does, you know. Faye, it's never too late to do the right thing. Got that right. And you know what? I can say I appreciate this man's, you know, obviously he's not going to come out and be like, yeah, I was at that Diddy party and I saw this. I mean, we're not, because what I'm thinking is, you know, the feds are digging deep right now. They're breaking down these videos and tapes and things that they have and de-encrypting. And we've also heard they've been approaching some of these celebrities to, I guess, not necessarily warn them, but let them know, look, this is some evidence that we have. What do you have to say about your part in this? You're on this video, you know, whatever. People are being approached. Now, I don't know if this is true, but they say that Ben Affleck left J-Lo the second time around because the feds went to him or them and said, look, you're on these, you're on, you know, you're being incriminated. Hey, Ray, happy Sunday. So all I'm saying is that, you know, I'm just telling you what I'm feeling. That's all. Okay, so we're getting into, I think, one of the last acts, if not the last act of this article about Denzel Washington, telling us about his life. Really, I mean, he started, you know, he's talking about from a child to present. And the fact that he was baptized yesterday and he's becoming a minister and he's going into the last stage of his life. And it sounds to me like he wants redemption. He wants to do the right thing. And he has made a commitment to God, and he wants the world to know it. And he wants the world to, you know, maybe even follow his lead. So, yeah, All right, Act 5, 7 a.m., September 23rd, 2023. I was on a yacht in the middle of the Mediterranean, off of Italy somewhere. The boat wasn't moving. I was listening to a song alone, just me. I had my... Whew, sorry. I had my Bible, and I finished reading my prayers and the daily word, my morning ritual, and I had music playing through my phone. Why am I so emotional? Hold on, y'all. Hold on one second. I think God is present. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna read that again. 7 a.m., September 23rd, 2023. I was on a yacht in the middle of the Mediterranean, off of Italy somewhere. The boat wasn't moving. I was listening to a song alone, just me. I had my Bible, and I had just finished reading my prayers and the daily word, my morning ritual, and I have music playing through my phone. That's hitting me because daily word, my mom, she used to send that to me every day. I don't know why she stopped, but anyway. A song came on called The Face of God. It was not a song I have in my rotation, and I don't know how it ended up on my phone. The woman was singing about the actual face of God. I said out loud, "You know, Lord, everybody says they've seen your face. They sing about it. They say they saw your face. And I want to see your face. I've never..." While I was saying it, I heard, "Look to your left." I mean, I heard it, not thought it, heard the words. There was no one else around. Look to your left. I looked to my left, off the side of the boat. In the clouds above the ocean, I saw a face, a detailed, proportionate face that took up the whole sky. Eyes, nose. It even had lips and teeth, and a little smirk. I grabbed my phone and took this photo. Remember, it was while I was asking, "Lord, everybody sees your face. I never see. I would like to. Look to your left." I don't care how you slice it. You can say, "Oh, that's just a coincidence." To which I say, "Well, I'm listening to the song. I said, I want to see your face. I heard, look to your left. And that's what I saw. Whatever makes you feel good, I don't care. I know what makes me feel good. I know what I saw. I know what I see." There's no guarantees that your children will see you tonight. There's so much to be thankful for, grateful for, humbled by. Very true. What bad does God do? I asked. What good does God do? We don't know. Same God that does earthquakes and hurricanes and cancer brings the sun up in the morning, too. We don't know. I'm just grateful and thankful for each God-given day, for the sunrise and the sunset. We don't even know why we wake up in the morning. First thing I do is pray every morning. I read my Bible. I read my daily word every day. I get in my half an hour of quiet time. I try to wake up now and sit there first, put my feet on the floor and sit and be quiet. It's hard. It's easy to get up and do this and that, or you left the idiot box on and that sucks you in. Turn it off. Kendrick told us, turn the TV off. Sit. Then you can start listening. There you go. Birds. Be still. Just try to be still. What is that saying? Life's simple pleasures are the best. Fresh air, some water, sounds, being up another morning, just being. There's no guarantees. That's why we call it faith. Religion is a tricky word because that gets into my religion, your religion, and all that. But faith doesn't sound like it belongs to someone. Anyone can have it. Wow. Okay, Act 6. I don't know how many, I don't think there's many more, if there's any more after this act. The most recent big moment in my life was more than big, and it was more than a moment. And it had nothing to do with me. On one hand, this moment was a accumulation of all of Pauletta's work, raising our children, and of my work and of their work becoming these people that they are. And then, on the other hand, this moment I'm talking about was just the beginning. Backing up a second, if you don't know who August Wilson was, the playwright, think about Arthur Miller. Think about Tennessee Williams, Edward Albee, Eugene O'Neill. That's where Wilson's work lives, in that pantheon. He wrote 10 plays, each one set in a different decade of the 20th century, telling his view of what it was like to be Black in America at that time. All but one are set in Pittsburgh. August died in 2005, God bless him, too young. He was 60. And then a few years ago, his widow, Constanza Romero, and the estate asked if I would produce a movie of each play. I said, you got the right man for the job. I don't mean because I'm so great. I mean because I see it as a privilege to be asked to bring one of our greatest playwrights to life in film. I mean, come on. I'll take that. It's a privilege. He doesn't owe me a thing. To be able to shepherd and in a small way be a part of it, because I'm really just handing each one over to the next director. And then I don't go hovering all over them. You have to trust. You can't ask someone to direct a film and then look over their shoulder every 2 seconds. And in this case in particular, the material. August wrote it. It's like they say, if it ain't on the page, it ain't on the stage. And his genius is on the page. Denzel to be 70 next month. He is aging like fine wine, child. 70. I mean, okay, it says we've done 3 of them now. Fences, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, and now The Piano Lesson. My son Malcolm directed it. My son John David is in it. My daughter Katia produced it. We went to the Toronto International Film Festival with it earlier this year, and that was a moment. Sitting on that stage after the screening for the question and answer session with 3 of my children, Lord. The 4th, Olivia, was starring in Slave Play in the West End of London. Their mom was in the audience. It was a gorgeous theater, one of the older ones in Toronto, which was appropriate for this film. Maybe 1,500 people there, full house. And they had chairs set up for us. Malcolm, then John David next to him. The incredible other cast members, Danielle Detweiler, Ray Fisher, and Michael Potts. Katia, my producing partner, Todd Black, and me way down the end trying not to get noticed. I've done a lot of Q&A sessions at film festivals, but this one, it doesn't get better than that. When it was time to leave the stage, I waved everyone past me, one by one, waiting for Malcolm so I could give him a hug and walk off together, my hand on his shoulder. I was still producing. Everyone march off, then me and him close it out. Still in charge, still dad. Malcolm used to beat everybody in Monopoly. They wouldn't play him. He walked around with a Monopoly set, and John David wouldn't ever play because Malcolm would always want to be the bank. Nobody could beat him or even wanted to beat him. That's Malcolm. In high school, he recruited a couple of basketball players to make the team better, and they won the state championship on his division level. He was the point guard. That's Malcolm. He has the ball in his hands, and he puts the team together. I don't see myself as acting in any of the remaining 7 Wilson films. I did Fences. For one thing, I don't see a role, but also I have things lined up for a few years. I told them I would do another Equalizer, and we're doing 4 and 5. More people are happy about that. People love those daggone equalizers. It's about variety for me. I'll sometimes say to myself, one's for me, one's for them. So for example, Othello. We're doing it on Broadway and then a movie. That's for me. But I've come to realize that the Equalizer films are for me too, because they're for the people. They want me to go get the bad guys. We can't get them, so you go get them. And I say, okay, I'll get them. Just wait right there. I'll be right back. And that's also what I love about Gladiator 2. It ain't just about me. It's a great cast and a great story, and I get to be a part of it. I loved the first one with my friend Russell Crowe. Then Ridley Scott called asking if I would be in it. Are you kidding? It took me about 2 seconds to say yes. We had done American Gangster, of course, also with Russell. But this film, Gladiator 2, continues a great epic story in such a truthful way and way. It's a wonderful script, and I'm happy I'm in it with those fantastic actors. And piano lesson? Shoot, it definitely ain't about me. That moment on stage in Toronto wasn't about me. Our children pulled it off. They did it. Even when we were shooting, I'm supposed to be one of the producers and I'm also their dad. But about 2 weeks in, I went home. Nothing really for me to do. You know, when you say something to the group and they give you a polite answer like, yeah, thanks. We're a little busy here. Thanks for the, okay, so where were we? Even at the party after the screening and the Q&A, Pauletta and I were in the corner just hanging out, watching Malcolm and John David and Katia just floating around that room, just soaring. I was there as best I could for my children. I'd fly in the room, whatever movie I was doing, and be with them. Oh, I'm sorry. I'd fly in from whatever movie I was doing and be with them. I remember when Pauletta was pregnant with Katia around 1987. I was filming for Queen and Country in London. I scheduled 5 days off before the due date, and 5 days after, I flew home for that. That was my version of commuting. We were always coming back together. But then that's it. Daddy got to go do his thing. Go to Indianapolis for 4 months or whatever. And you got to go to school. You got to get the grades. I got to go do what I got to do. That's how it goes around here. There's no easy way. We taught them the old-fashioned hard work way. Pauletta read a chapter from the Bible to them every day at breakfast, and they would have discussions about it. She laid the foundation while I was out killing the whatever it is, killing the animal and bringing home the meat, the bacon. But that alone, all 4 of them healthy, mind, and that's important. Enough said. Pauletta did a brilliant job with them. She taught them the right way. I came along for the ride. I taught by example, good and bad. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Good and bad. You think of a million other ways things could have gone. Mitch did 25 years. He died of AIDS. Frank probably did 40 years. Jake died. That was our band, the 4 of us. And by the grace of God, I didn't do a day. I love what I do, and I'm fortunate that I have this ability to act. And I don't want to make light of it, but it's just acting, man. It ain't rocket science. And I don't mark the big moments of my life by the movies I made. My mother said, man gives the award, God gives the reward. I like that. Man gives the award, God gives the reward. So one of them Oscars I won, and that's the trippy part, isn't it? How easily that rolls off the tongue. I said one of them Oscars. Man. But no, when I think of what I'm proudest of, anything I've accomplished doesn't come to mind. It's our children. They are good people. They know right from wrong. What else can you ask for, you know? I love that he ends it with his children knowing right from wrong, because it sounds like, you know, he's reiterating how he told some earlier stories about how he hasn't always. His wife, Pauletta, obviously provided a strong foundation for their children, and it looks like it's paid off. So, yeah, he did announce he was going to be retiring, even though in this article he says he has other things lined up. So I'm pretty sure once he fulfills those commitments, he's not probably going to be signing on to any new projects. Let's see. Beautiful Spirit. Denzel, spiritually tapping in. I'm going to get a message from him. I'm pretty sure if I meditate on him, I'll definitely get some messages. Audrey Rose Love. Hi, Audrey. Welcome. If Denzel remains in Hollywood, him wanting a new change will be useless. Yeah, that's why I think he's exiting. And he's doing projects and working with his children and trying to, you know, probably do as much good as he can while he's still here, while he's still on earth, you know. Yeah, please like this video. Subscribe if you haven't, if you know, like what you hear. There's a lot more to it. And remember my other channel, The Nosey Goddess, Nozey Goddess. I actually uploaded the short part of this video, which is just the part of him getting baptized that I showed earlier in this live. But yeah, I do appreciate y'all hanging out, listening to me talk about God, talk about Denzel and his journey. And it has been one for sure reading that article, child. But I'm going to end it here. Enjoy your Sunday. And I definitely will be back probably tomorrow. But yeah, happy Sunday. And till next time, y'all. Bye.